Welcome to Second to None, a show from the fans to the fans. We got a good show tonight. We got Alabama, we got Vanderbilt, we got LSU in the house tonight. This right here was it exciting weekend? No one really got upset except maybe Tennessee. South Carolina just ran them in the ground. That pretty much, in my opinion, pretty much ruined everything for them. I think the best they can probably do is make a New Year's Six, but that's the kind of stuff that we're going to discuss tonight. So don't listen to me no more. Let's just get right in with the guys. What's going on, gentlemen?
What's going on?
Good. Guys, this right here was a crazy weekend. We thought Michigan was going down. We thought TCU was going down. Those guys held on. Who just scored?
Touchdown, UCLA.
Okay, so I think UCLA is going to get that game, man. I really do.
I don't know, man. It's 41. It's 41-37 right now with the extra point try waiting to come.
UCLA is up, right?
No, UCLA's down, but the fourth quarter just.
USC
the fourth
came
quarter
back.
just started.
Okay, I didn't know that they even came back. When I actually turned my TV off, they was up, I think.
USC came back?
They came back. We still got we still got a couple of games in progress, like the UCLA, USC. LSU is still playing right now, but they're just playing UAB, so that should be pretty easy. I think we should start off with Vanderbilt. You know, usually we don't start off a show with Vandy if we're being real. But hey, man, Vandy, the last 2 weeks is 2-0. They went and beat number 24 Kentucky, and then they beat Florida at home. Chris, how are you guys able to continue to find ways to win these ball games?
Because this team is not as bad as what people thinks it is.
That simple, huh?
It's that simple. You make a couple field goals at Missouri. You don't turn the ball over against South Carolina, and you're looking at 4 straight SEC wins instead of 2. So it looks a whole lot different. And I see Alabama's over there hiding his face because we don't have 55 stars on our roster like Alabama does. But these kids don't quit. They go out there and they compete their butts off. They love their coach. They love what they're doing. And they're winning ball games now.
Well, you guys, I mean, as odd as it sounds, you guys seem to be, because of who you guys are, you guys seem to be the hot team. Are you guys going to be ready for Tennessee coming in? I feel like Tennessee has been exposed.
They got an SEC win streak, guys. SEC win streak.
Yep.
So here's the deal. Every year there's a Cinderella story. Why not us?
Well, it sure is. I think, and just like I was saying,
Speaking of Cinderellas, did anybody see the big orange pumpkin turn right back into a pumpkin?
and Michael brought that up, asking me about next week, and let me address that a little bit. 4 times in the last 10 years, Vanderbilt has beaten Tennessee with a bowl game on the line. Vanderbilt's playing for actual eligibility rather than the APR Bowl. And Tennessee just lost their playing. They were playing for the college football playoffs, and they've lost that now. So the possibility of Hendon Hooker being out, things trending in opposite directions kind of right now, it changes the dynamic. Are we really sure that Tennessee's going to walk away with Vanderbilt like everybody has assumed all year?
Yes.
Well, yes. So I'm going to be honest with you. I think the worst thing ever for Vanderbilt is the fact that USC decided to beat them and beat them handily. They're going to be pissed, and they're going to come in there and they're going to take it out on their little brother. It's like when you had a bad day at school and you come home to play one-on-one against your little brother, and all you do is block him every time he goes for a shot. They are going to beat the ever-living dog crap out of Vanderbilt next week.
So Wes, let me ask.
And here's another question though. If the rumors are true that are circulating on Twitter about
You read my
your
mind.
stud linebacker trying to beat up on their quarterback and there's infighting among the team, are they really
Are
that
they
big
really
of a threat?
together?
Right.
Well,
Well,
so to bring that up, like a couple years that we've won the national championship, we've had guys go at each other because we thought they weren't competing to a certain standard, and the leaders stood up and got in the younger guy's face, and there were some tiffs with some of our guys, and we won the national championship because of it. Now, if Hendon Hooker wasn't performing at a level in practice that he should have been, preparing because they were overlooking South Carolina, or if Jeremy Banks wasn't preparing because he was overlooking Spencer Rattler, it's his place, especially as a Heisman Trophy candidate until tonight when he got hurt, to get in that guy's face and say, "Hey, we're playing for something bigger than this."
So I have to ask you now, will Hendon Hooker, will he be in, his chance of Heisman is gone now? Is that safe?
It's pretty much over.
Okay, he's over.
So
I actually
here's
think
the deal, though. He still might get an invite, and I think Chris will agree with this, because with Corum getting hurt today,
yes,
I think Corum's shot is done too.
I was fixing to mention that. I think two players lost their shot at winning it today, and that's both Hooker and Corum.
Here's the deal. I don't think Corum was the best running back in that game today anyway.
No, Chase Brown.
the backup guy. Okay. So does that put CJ Stroud in the does that put him in the front runner, or is there somebody else that maybe is going to jump?
Up until today, I thought Drake May had a dark horse shot at it, but they go down today too.
17 unanswered points to Georgia Tech.
Yeah,
Come on,
that hurt them bad.
They were winning 17-0 and gave up 21 straight to Georgia Tech. They were held to 108 yards in the second half. They had a punt, a turnover on downs. They didn't score any points in the second half.
I think he lost his shot at it too. I had him down as a dark horse until today.
So it's wide open now. I suggest then.
I'm going to be honest with you. I think this might be the weakest Heisman candidacy class that I've seen in years, because nobody's numbers are popping off the page. Heck, to be honest with you, USC's quarterback, if they come back and win this game, he might throw himself into the and because he'll have wins against UCLA and Notre Dame next week, which might just throw him right in there if they sneak into the playoffs.
This is definitely going to be interesting as we go into rivalry week to see how these teams or these prospective guys who has the potential to be Heisman, to see how they actually play. Georgia actually didn't play really well today against Kentucky. Well, I don't really think Kentucky could beat Georgia. I think Kentucky made some bonehead moves that maybe could have gave them a better opportunity. They missed a field goal. They threw an interception in the end zone, in the red zone, like stuff like that. Like those, I mean, they held Georgia to 16 points. So if you're looking for a morale victory, I guess you don't get points for that. But I guess, hey, man, we showed up. What's up, Wes?
Yeah, but here's the deal. I don't remember who in our chat said it today, but I was having the exact same conversation when he brought it up with my best friend from Georgia today. Inside that dome and in the playoff games, there won't be any 20-degree weather. Right?
Exactly. Yes.
There's not going to be any wind. There's not going to be any of that.
Yep.
You're going to Atlanta. Then you're going to go to Atlanta again, probably for the playoffs.
Yeah.
And then you're going to the national championship. And you know what? It's going to be conditions are going to be perfect.
Perfect.
And that's what it is. Like, not to mention, here's the deal. Georgia's playing right now. They're going to play very vanilla. They're not going to show anything against Kentucky. They're sure as heck not going to show anything against Georgia Tech to close
Okay.
the season.
Yeah.
Now I know Georgia Tech might come in fighting because they have a bowl game on the line as well.
Okay.
They're fighting for their interim coach. There's rumors that their interim coach, they all want to keep him as their head coach, Brent Key, a former Alabama guy, by the way. But that's the thing. Like, I think Georgia's going to go very vanilla, which, by the way, may actually hurt them going into the LSU game, because here's something that I think the LSU may have an advantage. And this is something that I'd like to give TCU a little bit of a shout out about. TCU's battle tested. They
Okay.
can make an entire reel of how many times they've had to come back and fight back and be in stressful positions, right?
Yeah, it goes a long way.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Georgia hasn't been pushed. And if you can dictate terms to Georgia, they don't play well over the last couple seasons when you dictate to them. The
Okay.
problem is not many people can dictate to them, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think about that, Chris?
The only team that's even, in my opinion, giving them a challenge this year was Missouri, and all they did was strip the ball, and that challenged them a little bit. They rose to the occasion, but I think they rose to the occasion because they have better athletes on the team.
Yeah, I agree. And the depth won
Yep.
out at the end of the game. But they brought the fight to them too in the trenches. And if you bring the fight to Georgia, one, I don't know that they're used to people bringing the fight to them. I
Yep.
think they're used to a lot of teams trying to out finesse them because they think that's the only way they can beat them. LSU has got a heck of a defensive front. They've got a physical run game. They've got an athletic quarterback, and if they can control the line of scrimmage and the clock, Stetson Bennett, I don't know if you have to put it on his arm
Okay.
that Stetson's going to win the game for you.
Is he capable of doing it if you have to put it on his arm?
I mean, he stepped up in the national championship last year, and
Okay.
he's the reason they won the national championship last year. But this year, he's not the reason they're winning the games if you watch the games. Their defense is, and their run game, and their defense is squeezing, I think it's kind of funny if you watch the way they play football now. They're using 12 personnel a lot, 13 personnel. They're coming out with 2 tight ends, 3 tight ends, and they're throwing the ball dink and dunk for a ton of yards, and then they run it so they stay ahead of schedule. When the entire scheme of football the last several years has to get smaller, faster, more mobile, right?
Yeah.
And Georgia turned around and flipped it and went back to where they got big. They're running tight ends out there. They're running the football again. And now it's like, oh, crap. How do we stop it? Because what we did was we all got smaller to compete with the spread offenses. And now Georgia's bigger. And they just happen to be able to recruit the bigger athlete because they're in a better, fertile, more, recruiting base. No offense to the Kentuckys or the Vanderbilts or the Tennessees. Your recruiting beds just aren't the same as Georgia.
Oh no, not by a long shot. Well, I mean, he did, if you're talking about his arm, I mean, he did put the ball down the field quite a few times against Tennessee. And it's just him throwing the ball down the field was a key reason. Of course, they ran the ball really good too, but he actually really had a really good game throwing the ball against Tennessee.
In Stetson's defense, he is extremely athletic.
Okay.
And he's sneaky quick.
Yeah.
He's really hard to get on the ground. And because they have those 2 tight ends that can catch the ball, the tight ends are those outlets for them. And it is so tough because, and they've got another version of Hunter Renfrow with stinking Lad McConkey out there.
Is that number 84?
That slow white dude that has no business being on a football field in college. I have no clue where they found that dude. He was playing flag football, and they're like, "Hey, man, we got a spot. You want to try?"
But I mean, I mean,
And
do
he's
you think he's
always
performing?
open. He's always open.
Yeah, always
He's
open.
like-
for,
He's
yeah.
like Hunter Renfro for Clemson. The guy was, I don't know how that dude was always open. Always. Except against Alabama, it was a rub play. It's still a rub play. Dabo admitted it. It was a rub play.
Hey,
And to your point, Wes, that's one thing I take with Clark Lee is the way he's trying to build this. Is he's calling especially with Mike Wright in the offense, he's calling a lot of tight end passing, which you don't see a lot in college football these days. It's all going to the wideouts, and very seldom do teams use a tight end. And that's one thing I like about what Clark Lee's doing is he's utilizing that position to Vanderbilt's benefit.
So I have a question for you guys considering how TCU won today at the very end and Michigan found a way to win. Do they, going into the last week of college football, does the top four stay the same? Because I know Tennessee's going to be moved down, of course, but will the top four stay the same?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, why would nobody lost? Why would they? And number five lost and lost badly.
Yeah.
Number 6 has 2 losses, so number 6 can't jump them because they're all undefeated, right?
Okay.
Okay. Now, like I said, if now what's gonna the big playouts are the game that's going on right now with USC. All right, that's a big game because they're gonna make a huge jump if they win, right? Clemson now still is breathing.
Yeah.
They still have breath in their chest right now.
Tennessee helped a lot of people.
Yeah. Nobody has squashed it yet, right? Yeah. However, the committee has said and has been very disrespectful to the ACC. If you look at where they're ranked, I mean, one loss UNC was ranked number 13. All right. And they only had one loss. So one loss Clemson is behind 2-loss Alabama and 2-loss LSU. So it's going to take some sort of now they're going to have to go out there and smoke South Carolina next week.
Okay.
And then they're going to have to run through whoever they play in the ACC championship, right?
Okay.
Which really won't be a quality win.
Yeah.
So they're still breathing. USC is still breathing. Michigan is going to.
I've actually kind of thought if USC handles business tonight, that they quite possibly might jump LSU just based on quality of opposition tonight.
No. What?
So,
No
Bob,
way.
so here's the deal. I see where Chris is going with this, right? Because you have to take this into consideration. Yep. You have to. Hey, that dun 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 dun. Like, there's a certain pedigree, right? USC, Alabama, Oklahoma, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Michigan. We're in the first tier, guys. Nobody else is in there with us. Okay. Now, the nouveau riche are you, Bobby, Clemson, Florida State, teams like that. You guys are nouveau riche. You've come along the last 20 years. You've won a couple of titles. You don't have the history or the following that USC represents an entire region of the country, by the way, right now.
Yes.
Right. The entire West Coast
is USC
is living and dying, and they are begging for the West Coast to be relevant in college football. They haven't been relevant. They can't get in. Their hopes and dreams are dashed every year, right? So this is not only is it the West Coast, but it's the West Coast one true pedigreed team.
That's it.
However, I think if they win, I still don't think they jump LSU.
They're probably gonna be end up looking at the Rose Bowl again, huh?
Yeah. Hey,
No, I mean,
I'm,
if they win out,
Yeah.
like if they win all the way out, I think they would in the final poll jump them. I just don't think they'll
Okay.
jump them this week.
Okay.
hey,
Okay.
hey, I forgot what
Ooh,
I was
USC scored
gonna
again.
say.
USC's up by 10.
Sucks, man. I was
Man,
looking for upset. I like the
But UCLA 2nd and 1 on the 4-yard line.
okay. What's up, Bobby? You remember what you got?
no, I don't. I forgot them.
Okay.
Sorry.
So
Sorry.
let me move this a little bit away from the games itself. What's going on with Auburn, man? Are they gonna just wait till the end of the season after everything settles before they get a coach? Or are they gonna jump right into that? You know, you got Freeze, you got Kiffin, you got Cadillac,
Sanders.
you got Dion. Who do you guys think is gonna come out of the midst of that? Is it gonna be Kiffin?
Look, if I was Auburn, okay, if I was Auburn, I would be going after Deion Sanders. Period.
Why?
Plain.
Bobby, can you continue to say dumb stuff on the calls all the time?
Why wouldn't you?
Because he doesn't know
he's
how to run a
unproven.
program.
He's unproven.
I don't even care if he's unproven. He doesn't know how to run a program at this level.
Yeah.
Running a program at an HBCU, no offense,
Yeah.
it's not the same.
Nah,
Dude, all he has to do is worry about football. At Auburn, he has to worry about boosters. He has to worry about the donors. He has to worry about the chancellor. He has to worry about the fan base. He has to worry about Paul Feinbaum. He has to worry about the idiots across the state of Alabama. He has to worry about the morons across the state in Georgia. He has to recruit. He has to coach. He has to hire a coaching staff. All the things that and guess what? Deion Sanders ain't the big fish no more when he comes to the SEC. Nick Saban, Jimbo Fisher, Kirby Smart, all those guys, they all got natties. He ain't got nothing. He didn't even get a natty as a player.
Yeah. Well,
when did Jimbo get the natty?
In Florida
Because he
State.
coached
With
Florida
Florida
State.
State.
Okay,
Yeah,
I knew that, but I didn't think
He
it
also got one as an assistant at LSU.
true.
Well,
So I don't think there's any chance that Hugh Freeze gets that job. I think it's Lane Kiffin. But in saying that, I think the fans are going to riot if they don't keep Cadillac Williams on that staff and give him a real opportunity to grow as a coach.
I think the fans at Auburn should take a big fat shut the hell up and stop acting like it's a family. We treat it like a family. We don't want to be like Alabama. It's a business there. Guess what? Kirby took it and wanted to be like Alabama, and now it's a machine. You got a machine on the left and a machine on the right. And guess what's going to happen? Sandwich time.
Yep.
UCLA just scored, only down by 3.
But look, the reason why I said that is because people like me, people in my generation, they're gonna recognize the name Deion Sanders, and they're gonna pay more attention to Auburn because of the name.
Bobby, how old are you real quick?
31.
31. Guess what? You're 13 years older than an 18-year-old kid who's getting recruited. And a 17-year-old kid and a 16-year-old kid. The kids weren't even alive when Deion was playing in the league barely.
Now it's Lane Kiffin.
Huh?
So now it's
I
Lane
would-
Kiffin. He's the young guy on the block.
Lane
Yeah.
Kiffin, he's got Twitter appeal.
Yeah.
He's got, and guess what? I watched a show this week, and the guys from Mississippi brought up a great point. If you have to overpay for Lane Kiffin to stay, you open the checkbook and you make a mistake. Even if it's a mistake, you do it, because this is the only time, even though Ole Miss lost today, Ole Miss still has an opportunity this season to win 10 wins again. By the way, they went into week number 10, guys, last week with an opportunity to go play in Atlanta. By the way, Ole Miss has never played in Atlanta. Okay? They were ranked in the top 6, guys,
With Lane Kiffin.
with Lane
So-
Kiffin.
Yep.
So here's the problem with all that. On Deion Sanders, I'm old enough to have watched him play at FSU. So his name and brand appeal doesn't matter much, because it's more people my age that got to enjoy watching him play when he
And
played.
guys like me, because I'm slightly
And-
younger than Chris.
And
So-
as far as Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin, Mississippi has a state law that they cannot contract any employees longer than 4 years. It's a
Exactly.
job security issue, and that's why you take the money and run to Auburn and get that long-term deal.
Well, so let me rebuttal
So
that. then.
that's why Ole Miss, what they do is they just pay him a higher salary per year, and you
No, go
give him
ahead.
what he wants.
Yeah.
Mm,
So let
yeah.
me rebuttal about about Deion being so old. What about when it comes to the parents and wanting their kids to go play for a certain coach? Will that weigh anything on the kids? I mean, just like you just said, the older parents. Now you got to go with that, but then you still got to realize what you just said is also, Wes, is Deion doesn't know how to run a program. So when that comes into play, it's like, okay, go play for Deion, and after 1 year, you'll see how disaster it is, and then you want to get in the transfer portal.
And there's
So,
another.
Mr. Parent, let me ask you. So, Michael, I see your son here. I want you to come have him play for Coach Prime.
Okay.
Coach Prime, right? I'm all about the money here with Coach Prime. Well, Coach Prime, how many players have you put in the NFL? Well, none, because I've been coaching at Jackson State. Okay. Well, Coach Saban, how many players have you put in the NFL? Well, actually, last year I put 13 players in the NFL, 4 of which were first-round draft picks and signed for $133 million. So, would you like your kid to play for me and the facilities over here, or would you like your kid to go play for Coach Prime, who has no clue what he's doing?
And there's another thing to take into consideration too. Here is the actual health of Deion Sanders,
Okay.
because apparently he can't even make it through a single practice without having the assistance of a golf cart or something to get around the
Because
field.
he's riding around on his little cart because they had to amputate his toe.
Yeah, I have a question. I seen it, but I didn't go read it. Was that recent, or was that just
No, that's
like,
recent. I think I could be mistaken here, but I believe he's got diabetes.
I think that's what I heard too. Yeah. Wow, man. I kind of heard that. I'm like, well, maybe that's old, but then like, it's like they bringing it up. Like, why would they bring that up if it was years ago?
I forgot all about it until it happened within the last year and a half, but I forgot all about it until I watched the video with him on 60 Minutes where
Yeah.
he talked about that he can't walk through an entire practice. So that's
And-
something you have to consider. How much
Yeah.
coaching is he actually doing rather than his assistant doing all the coaching?
Okay. That's crazy, man.
Actually, I apologize. He does not have diabetes. What happened, he underwent a routine surgery to fix a dislocated toe and had an inflamed nerve. And a few weeks after the surgery, his big left toe and second toe started turning black and were necrotic. And he had to go to the hospital quickly. And he had a blood clot in his femoral artery. so they had to take his toes.
So that explains the cart then.
They almost had to amputate his leg from the knee down, by the way. And he almost died.
That's serious. And that was recent, huh?
That was March 22nd of this year.
Chris, how good was that 60 minutes he did?
I thought it was very informative. He gave a lot of ideas on certain things that some of these lower name programs could possibly do, like going to get corporate sponsorships. He's got a corporate sponsorship with Walmart at Jackson State. So it brought up some things that you could possibly do in running a program and getting some dollars behind it. But again, it's also very realistic in showing that he's got a big challenge ahead of him at an HBCU just because there's no money behind it.
There's no money there. Yeah, that's always been a problem
Well-
with them anyhow. So
Well, so not to make this like a political issue either, but if you look at it, most of your money that comes in from your programs, a lot of it is from your graduates, right?
yeah,
And your graduates have to be successful in industries and making money to be able to donate money back, right?
yeah,
So I actually recently read an article and it was the top 25 worst ROI, return on investment,
Yeah.
degrees from or schools where you get a degree from.
okay,
More than half of the schools on there were HBCUs.
okay,
So the kids getting those degrees from those schools are not getting a good return on their investment. They're not making enough money to give back.
I got
So that
you.
brings it back to the point that Chris was making. The corporate, they're gonna have to go out and maybe change the way they do things and get some corporate money behind it. And I do, you do notice ESPN is putting an HBCU game on each week now.
Yeah,
Like some of the games are on. Maybe they think about playing during the week, like the MAC.
Kentucky
done.
plays 2 of them.
The smaller conferences play on Tuesday. They play on Wednesday. They play
Yeah.
on Thursday, so they get exposure, right?
Yeah,
So you can get some of those corporate dollars. Because no offense, those big companies like Walmart, you
Mhm.
know where Walmart's money, the majority of their money is going to go, Chris?
Arkansas,
It's going to Arkansas.
Arkansas State. Yep, those two
Yeah,
programs.
It's going to stay in the state, man. Like, the big company, like look at Auburn, one of the big problems they have, their biggest donor, the richest man in the state of Alabama, is an Auburn donor,
Oh,
Mr.
wow.
Yellowwood.
Okay.
The guy that owns Yellowwood is
Oh, wow.
he's a huge problem for Auburn too. Jimmy won't stay off the sidelines, and he's basically like, if I can't be on the sidelines, I'm not giving you my money. And that's what got Gus Malzahn fired.
Because he didn't want him
And
on
re-
the sideline. Oh,
And if you
wow.
remember, prior to him being involved, it was Bobby Louder,
Yep.
and one of the biggest banks in the state of Tennessee was funding that program. Or not the state of Tennessee, the state of Alabama.
And guess what? That bank went bankrupt, by the way. Colonial
Twice.
Bank.
Twice.
Colonial Bank went bankrupt because it was run by. And guess who where the CEO of Apple went, by the way?
Where'd he
Tim
go?
Cook. He graduated from Auburn.
Is his hand in the pot too?
He gives some money, but not like he's not like Phil Knight, who gives a ton of money to which a lot of people don't realize this. Phil might give $200 million to the school that he got his master's from as well. He got his master's from Stanford.
Oh, wow.
So a $200 million check, stroking it to the school, and you got people. I mean, I give money to Alabama.
Yeah,
I give money to Georgia. I went to school at both places.
yeah. Okay.
Right.
Wow.
So
Matt, how you doing, man?
How about you all?
Doing
Have you
good.
thawed out, Matt?
Say what?
Have you thawed out?
No.
Did you go to the game today?
No, I had a family get together, and my prayers go out to Hendon Hooker. Hopefully, he'll be all right. And I will just say that Kentucky tried to make a valiant effort against Georgia, and just have to.
Just didn't work out. Yeah.
I did think it was. I meant to say this. I'm sorry, I forgot to say this at the beginning of the show.
Me too.
I really did think that it was like pretty astounding that like Tennessee's hooker just could not handle the Cox tonight.
Yeah.
The Cox were all over the hooker tonight. And from the start of the game, there were just Cox everywhere chasing that hooker.
So
Yes.
I don't mean to change the subject, but
Yeah.
Matt said something about prayers for Hendon Hooker.
Yeah.
Can we all take just a few moments and
know
give
where
a
you're going with this.
moment of silence for the University of Virginia?
I'm glad you
and-
mentioned that because I definitely had that in my plans to actually do that even starting the show. So yeah, that was a terrible situation right there. And
And to bring it closer to home, Vanderbilt's defensive coordinator was the defensive coordinator at Virginia last year.
oh wow. So he knows those guys there.
He actually wore his Virginia coaching polo today on the sidelines.
I saw that.
There
I
were
think
a
I saw
lot of
that too
guys
as well. Yeah.
throughout college football. Florida State did something today to give
Yeah.
Tennessee actually had things on their helmet for
Tennessee,
them as well today.
South Carolina had the thing on the back of the helmet and everything. So okay, we'll take a moment of silence for those guys because yeah, man, that was sad. All right. I mean, it's when you put it into perspective, like parents send their kids off to get an education. They know they're gonna party and they know they're gonna have fun, but they don't expect their kids to go off to college and get shot by some freaking maniac because they don't have it together or whatever for whatever reason. And
Especially a teammate.
former
Exactly. So
teammate.
I mean, I still haven't read the story. I don't know if they put out why he did it, but in a long story short, it's just horrible, man. And those kids, those young men was the same age. Two of them was the same age as my son. So that was like, that could have been anybody's son or daughter who was caught up in that. And that's just, these school shootings are just, yeah, they're pretty horrible, man. Going over, what's up?
I
No,
wasn't
no.
trying to interrupt you, but
No, go
can
ahead.
can I do the big welcome to the party to our resident Tennessee, Mr. Dustin Gray? Welcome to the party, sir.
Chris, shut the hell up. I'm so damn mad right now. Tim Banks, his ass needs to be fired. Kamal Hadd needs his ass kicked off the fucking team. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say that, but I'm pissed off. I'm madder than hell right now. I don't know if you can edit that out, but dude, I'm pissed. I mean, my God, we made Spencer Rattler look like a damn Heisman out there. I'm pissed off.
Chris, I didn't know Dustin was getting on here, or I would have saved my comment that I just had. Dustin, I felt bad.
Don't give me no damn grief, Wes.
I felt bad. I'm not giving you grief. I just said that I felt bad because Tennessee's hooker was getting chased by a bunch of cocks all night and getting slapped around. That hooker was getting slapped by a bunch of cocks all night.
I wanted to break my damn phone in half. I wanted to throw it at my TV. I'm pissed off. I'm madder than hell. And I mean, and look, Hooker's hurt. We got Bazooka Joe who wants to throw it 30 freaking yards over his receivers. I mean, wide right, 15 yards. Yeah, I'm pissed.
But that's a good joke. So, Dustin, I really know that, everyone, the nation kind of figured, hey, man, Tennessee was going to get the Heisman Trophy winner. They was going to have a chance to make it to the college playoffs. And then you guys, after tonight, you guys lost both of them. I really hope, just like Matt just mentioned about Hooker. Really hope he gets well soon. I hope it's not as bad as it is. But that was definitely one of those situations where in one game, all the blocks fail. And it's just, you just seen
Yeah.
so much go out the
So
window.
with that injury, does he use Medicaid or is it Medicare? Which one is for old people?
Oh, give me no damn grief, West. I'm not in the mood tonight.
Hey, this is
Oh, God.
this is his last year too, isn't it? This is
It is. Yeah.
Of course, it's his last year. This is his 13th year of college football.
so I have to say, just like our punter, well, last week was it last week, right? Our punter last week before, I think it was, he got hurt against Missouri. So now his career got ended on you know what I'm saying? It got ended on that play. He took one for the team, and that's why we won the ball game. But you hate to see a young man that has had such a great year as Hooker get hurt and then end his career where it's at. It just
What makes me so damn mad. You remember at the very beginning of the season, I said, yeah, Tennessee could go 9-3, 10-2. And the two losses that I was expecting was Georgia and Alabama, not Shane Beamer and that damn clown of a quarterback that they got down there at South Carolina. I'm so damn mad, son. I swear, I'm pissed off. I'm mad.
I can tell. I can tell.
Bobby, don't you give me no shit neither.
Well,
But we whipped your ass 40-13. Don't give me nothing. I'm
Yeah,
mad.
Oh,
but
UCLA just got picked off with 1:20 left against USC.
it's
but,
over.
but
Now they
I've
got
been
two
following that
timeouts.
on.
Oh, okay.
I was just following it on ESPN and saw where it's 3rd and 5.
here's my question. Here's my question. To Mr. Tennessee over there. I forgot.
I'm
Okay.
muting. I'm muting.
Bobby, you know what? I'm
Bobby,
muting you for
Bobby,
the
watch
rest.
the damn game.
Bobby,
Watch the
I'm
damn
muting
game,
you for the
Bobby.
rest of the show, man. You done forgot twice. You didn't try to talk. Matt, what you got?
I was
If
gonna say
any-
LSU is the most boring West Conference champion I've ever seen. I'm so damn mad, boys. I'm pissed. I'm
I know.
pissed.
Hey, hold on, Matt, what you got?
I'm sorry, Matt.
That's all right. If any fan base should be disappointed or mad, it's the Kentucky fan base. I mean, we come into this season thinking that we were going to have at least 9, between 8, 9, 10 victories, including a bowl game. But it just hasn't turned out the way it should be. They've got to fix a lot of things. And me and you, Michael, can vouch for it. We were expecting a whole lot different season. I mean, the offense just hasn't clicked the way we
They didn't click. No, they didn't.
I mean, it's really a disappointing ending. They got to play Louisville, but several losses. South Carolina,
Rivalry
Vanderbilt.
week has started.
Yeah.
So I have to ask the two Kentucky guys here, what do you make of Kentucky actually taking a step backwards when Chris Rodriguez came back?
Well, it made a difference as far as him not being in there in the first 4 games. I mean, they played better, it seemed like, without him, but it helped having him back as far as running the ball. But Kentucky's offense just did not click the way it did last year. I mean, you had Will Levis run for 11 rushing touchdowns last year. I mean, he had 660 yards rushing. Their offensive play calling, he's horrible. He's trash. I mean, they need to do something different. I mean,
I don't think they took a step back with Chris Rodriguez, man. They just got into the heart of their schedule. They started playing better teams.
And I will
and that's
say
fair.
this. Well, I will say this. Kentucky beat who Vandy beat. We beat Florida without Chris Rodriguez. So that was really at the time the only really quality win that we really had without Chris Rodriguez. He's leaving, so the program is going to have to move on within 2 more games unless he opts out of the bowl game. But the running backs that we have on hand, they're just not a Chris Rodriguez. And just like Matt said, the offensive line, I don't care. You could take Bigsby, you can take the running back for Alabama. Heck, you can even take you guys as running back. Chris, you could take Tennessee's with the line that they have. It was horrible. And, Chris Rodriguez is just a running back that he gets more positive yards that he does, what's the name? But even him, if he doesn't have any kind of quality line, it's still going to be a bad year. And we had to get to the point where the problem with Kentucky is we had to get to the point where because we got behind, then we couldn't run the ball. We was forced to put the ball in the air. And Will Levis, I heard today he got sacked this year over 35 times. I mean, looking up at the sky is not where you want to throw the ball. So that's kind of hard.
Yeah, but I think part of that too, and I noticed this. Will Levis, there were talks at the beginning of the season. I actually read an article that had Will Levis going first in the draft.
Yeah.
Okay. So the thing is, I think Will Levis, you got young receivers, you've got an offensive line that's not great. I think he pressed a lot of times and tried to make plays that weren't there because I think he was trying to live up to the hype a lot. Right.
Yeah.
I think Will Levis has a higher ceiling than a Stetson Bennett, right?
Okay.
But I also think he's got a lower floor than Stetson too, because I don't think Stetson will take the chances that Will would take either.
Okay.
Because I think Will was trying to live up to that draft stock, and
absolutely.
And I think he hurt his team by doing that.
Absolutely. And on one of my post games that I do after when they get off, I think I kind of mentioned that, hey man, all I want to see is football. And I'm one of, I'm an advocate for these guys to get paid while they're in college, because that's something that's way overdue. But in my book is we can't even go out and win a ball game. So instead of talking all about the NIL deals, let's just focus on trying to win a ball game. So that makes a lot of sense. And, that goes a long way when you got, and that's a lot of pressure because, the whole state of Kentucky, everybody wanted to be a part of the Will Levis train. And because of that, everywhere he went at, guest speakers, all this kind of stuff. And it wasn't enough time to really focus on football like I feel like it should have been. And there is Mel Kiper still has him in the first, one of the first few quarterbacks to go still, even after the year that we had. But so with that, all of that as a combination, that's a lot of pressure. So I agree with that 100%. Yeah.
Well, I think we may have a new front runner for the Heisman guys. Caleb Williams just had 502 total yards. That's the most yards ever in the USC-UCLA rivalry by any player. And they just won 48-45.
Well, USC is jumping some pieces. They're going to be jumping.
Am I still in timeout?
I was about to say, how'd you get unmuted?
Am I still in timeout?
Yeah. So that's definitely going to be interesting. Yeah, I don't want to, I cheer for Kentucky, and they haven't had the best year. But the best you could hope for, Bobby, I'm not even gonna lie, man, is a New Year's Six game.
Yeah,
you ain't going to the national championship games.
I don't know.
If they beat Georgia, they'll be there.
They're not gonna beat Georgia, man. I'm calling it.
Well, if y'all can hold them to 16 points, why can't LSU?
Well, we built
y'all poo-poo.
Well, okay.
Ain't the big blue nation, it's the big poo nation.
All right. But just like you said earlier, we played Georgia in 20-degree weather. Georgia ain't gonna be in 20-degree weather, and Georgia's not gonna play vanilla against LSU.
But LSU also has athletes that are just as good as Georgia's.
Yeah.
You don't.
I guess, okay, I give you that.
Yeah.
But LSU ain't beating. They ain't beating Georgia.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Yeah, but I
okay.
bet you none of y'all today we're talking about the Cox beating Tennessee either.
So
Exactly.
I have to ask this question though.
Okay.
So
Where the
Let's
babies come
all-
from, we'll explain
let-
it to you, Chris.
let's all assume that Georgia wins the SEC championship.
Okay.
Who from the SEC is representing in the Sugar Bowl? Will it be Tennessee, LSU, or Alabama?
Tennessee. Oh, because Tennessee got those 2 losses now, and that's a
Ooh.
bad loss.
So here's what happens. Here's what happens, guys. Alabama, as usual, rises up and goes to New Orleans because we'll win against Auburn, right?
Yeah.
And we won't play again. So we'll be ranked in the top 6.
Yeah.
And here's what happens. When LSU loses, they'll fall behind us. And Tennessee's already fallen behind us.
Yeah.
And since we all have the same conference record, then it goes by ranking. And we'll be the 2nd ranked team in the SEC.
Yes, you will.
And we'll be playing in New Orleans.
Sugar Bowl.
Hold on.
That's
Hold
simple.
on.
Blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah.
You're already counting the Georgia game as a loss for LSU.
And you should
No,
too if
I'm
you're
not
smart,
saying that.
Bobby.
I'm just saying, based on what the probabilities and what should happen,
Okay.
yes.
What should happen? Have we
What should
not
happen is you should shut up.
Hey.
look, have
Bobby, you guys can go. Hey, you guys can go to Tampa, man. It's nice down there. I was down there a couple of weeks ago. It's beautiful down there. You guys can go to the beach.
Actually, if they look, they'll probably still finish ahead of Tennessee at
Okay.
that point, and they would go to Miami for the Orange Bowl.
Okay. Hey, that's even better.
Hey, hold on though. Time out. Okay, just a quick question. Quick couple questions.
Just hope you didn't forget.
Did anyone expect LSU to beat Ole Miss?
Well, I mean,
Yes.
looking at that Ole Miss game now, that's
Okay,
Yeah.
don't start that. Go look at what they played Alabama last week. The Alabama factor is real.
Okay.
Go back and look at teams after they play us. They do not play well.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Did anyone expect us to beat Alabama?
No, but
Okay.
the sun shines on a dog's butt
Okay.
every now and then, Bobby.
Yeah, dude.
A squirrel finds a nut. A blind squirrel finds a
Okay.
nut every now and then.
I mean, Vanderbilt's won 2 SEC games.
The world
sometimes.
Look, the world must be ending because Vanderbilt has an SEC winning streak.
All right.
They
Yeah.
have SEC wins.
Hey,
Consecutively.
second. Hey, and if they go out with nothing to lose come Saturday, they may have a 3-game winning streak going into the next
I swear
season.
to God, if y'all beat
Oh
y'all
my
beat
God.
Dustin, oh my God. If y'all beat Tennessee, look, I'm not going to lie and say I'm pulling for you because I'm not. Right?
Let's just get that out of the way.
Let's just
He
get
don't
that out of the
like
way.
the little guy having a shot.
Like the thing is, I used to actually pull for you, and then I used to pull for Vanderbilt, and then I met you. Okay.
I
So-
have that effect.
But the thing is, if y'all beat Tennessee, I'm pretty sure Dustin may have an aneurysm.
Hey,
Oh, I
Hey.
know he will.
I
Hey,
think he
Quinn.
may actually shit his pants.
Yeah, probably so.
yeah. Hey, question.
Yes, Bobby.
Why is the Florida State game being played on a Friday?
Because it's been played on Friday for like 6 years in a row now, man.
Has it?
Yeah, you're gonna
Yeah,
get muted
just
for
like
that, Bobby.
just like the Egg Bowl is played on Thanksgiving.
Bobby, this is for you, okay? There you go. Anyway.
Hey,
So,
Bobby,
hey,
take your
man,
choice and you go back to timeout.
go back to timeout.
Fine, I will.
So
Well,
has
what's
there
up,
been a
Chris?
more disappointing team in the SEC this year than Florida?
Yes, there
Kentucky.
has. They're Texas A&M.
Yes.
Kentucky.
So
You got it.
that's my
No,
last question
Texas
for
A&M.
tonight.
By the way, did anybody see the crowd today at Texas A&M?
Chris, I think Chris
I-
shared a picture of it.
I don't want to hear anybody say anything about a Vanderbilt crowd when you got that kind of money and those kind of players and those I don't
But-
want to hear a word.
I've never, and this isn't hyperbole, this isn't me just being hyperbolic. I have never seen a college football game still in the first half with that few players or few fans. I mean, I don't know that if all of those fans had come onto the field, I don't even think they would have gotten a sideline warning. There weren't even enough fans to get a
That's
sideline warning.
crazy, man.
They didn't even need a get back coach for the fans if all of them came on the field. They couldn't rush the field if they wanted.
No,
It was as bad as UCLA in the first or second game of the season when they literally had like 900 people in the stands.
Actually, I think there were less than 10,000 people at that game today, by the way.
It looked empty. That was
It
was
was
it cold out
pathetic.
today or something?
Yeah, it must be.
Yeah.
It hit. Look, Vanderbilt won 2 in a row. Tennessee lost. The other teams, like hell, must have froze over. That's the reason it was cold.
Something's going on down there.
And the Texas A&M fans are just, they packed it.
They're
in for
fed
beer.
up.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't they be? You have all the resources in the world. You got the greatest recruiting class in the history of football. You beat Alabama last year. Started out ranked number 6 in America. You're not going to get 6 wins this year.
Trying to get one for each drink. No, I don't think
If
so.
they don't beat LSU next week, they will finish with 1 conference win. That's less than Vanderbilt.
Yep.
Yep.
Just take the big bite of the poo sandwich, eat the poo sandwich, and fire Jimbo Fisher. Fire him now.
Just move on, huh?
And I actually think there's an out for them in that because there's a job that's opening up that he 100% has always been interested in. And if he can work out a deal that
West Virginia.
you named it.
Wow.
If he
Hey,
can work
that's
out a
fair.
deal,
Mountain High.
Hey, less
a
pressure.
mutual,
Everything.
yep.
But the thing is, he's so bad. Do you think West Virginia would take him?
Probably in a heartbeat just
For
because
the
he's got the
name?
national title.
For his name. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
I don't think
Nope.
so.
Because he's not good. He's not good as a head coach.
He's won a
Somebody
national
suggested
title.
he did win a national title, but
What?
he did have a great roster, and he ran that program into the ground too.
Exactly.
Somebody mentioned today that he might be the next offensive coordinator at the Nick Saban rehabilitation school for a head coach, and I was like, hold on, here's the deal. He's already coached under Nick. And the thing is, Nick will forgive a lot of things on the field.
Yeah.
He won't forgive them
Nick.
personal shots. Nope.
Yeah. He took
Nope.
them personal shots.
He took personal shots at Nick. Nick would burn him before he like ever let him come back on his staff.
Well, and that's a good spot to stop right there, guys. Well, man, that was good. You guys was funny tonight, man. Especially, I mean, it's always good when Tennessee loses, and that gives you a lot of stuff to talk about because you know that fan base is going to be. So I definitely will make a little clip of Dustin's rant and everything, because that's going to be good at everything. But hey, thank you for tuning in
If-
to Second and
if-
None. We had
If
a
you
great show
think
tonight.
Dustin
What's up,
was
Chris?
wild, if you think Dustin was wild tonight, let Vanderbilt knock them off next week, and you'll see wild.
Could you imagine them winning as time ran out on a field goal?
Oh.
You guys beating them at a field goal when time runs out?
True story, 2009, Vanderbilt jumped up 21-6 or something like that. Had a double-digit lead going into the fourth quarter and lost it on Tennessee kicking the field goal at the end.
I think
It would be fantastic retribution to do the same this year.
retribution.
I don't want to hear anything. I hate all of you. I lived through the kick six, okay?
Yeah. That's horrible. We just
By the
lived
way,
well.
we were undefeated.
Exactly. You get froze for that. Yeah, you get froze for that.
Yeah.
So hey man, I appreciate you guys. I know it's late tonight. Appreciate you guys coming on. Another great weekend of college football. I think this is really exciting where things are going because really nobody really knows what's going to happen next because you got people in key games that can still lose a ball game. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see who gets what bowl games after next week and just moving forward. So you have been watching Second to None. I'm your host, Mike, and these are my guys who make it right. Vandy, Alabama, Kentucky, LSU, Tennessee was here. They graced us with their time for a few minutes. Clearly, he ain't the happiest guy around, but I appreciate it. You guys go have a good evening and enjoy the rest of your weekends. And thank you guys for joining me. Go Second to None.
Anchor down.
Go
You
Tigers.
can really say that now, Chris. All right, guys. Good night, man.
Good night.
Okay.